See, one of the other parts in a psyop is for you not to talk back. This is sort of how the war of deception works with. It's all about money and power, right? Corporations. So everything is about their presentation. So they're salesmen, snake oil salesmen, right? Okay, so they're selling snake oil. The carnival barkers is what I call them in one video, right? So they're always wanting your energy. That's how you know who they are. We're the givers. So now you're in a field trying to sort out the differences. We're not ones who get on the stage. Remember I mentioned one time I just wore a hoodie working behind the scenes facing the crowd, right? We're a nobody. Okay, we're not looking for attention. We don't need it. We got all the energy we need. So we're coming in with powerful energy because that's a spirit that is in that light, that is in our heart and soul, that experiences what love is. We're bringing that energy in just being here. Right? So everybody's having fun and having a good time and enjoying being with Mama Earth. So it's like being a guest in a mama's home. You know how to behave yourself, right? When I go to my mother's house, I know how to behave when I'm in my mother's house. That's my mother's house. She built that. Remember, mother's keeping home, homemakers. Okay. See, you know that a girl knows, as a mother, how to be a mother. She makes sure that all the right things, the right way, all the right things that are supposed to happen. She, at the end of the day, is the one that makes sure of that, because everyone came out of her. Okay, so you know that she's going to fiercely protect her children when daddy's not around, right? But daddy's going to protect them with the same love she has for the children, because the love that I have for her is the same love that our children experience through either one. So they don't know the difference between the one and the other, in this case, because they're getting the same love out of the father and the mother that they would get out of either one of them. So they're one and the same. So they're the one. They're experiencing one. And that makes it simple. And that's perfect balance in a sphere of light. That is living light, which is living energy. That is the engine creating the world. So that you experience heaven through your own heart and soul. Your spirit will experience heaven, because heaven is what love is. Because you're really experiencing the real stuff that gave birth to creation. The real stuff, the living light, living energies. Right? So I wanted to personally thank Hermir, that beautiful soul and spirit. She said one time, I guess when she watched one of my videos, "You're on fire." That's right. Sometimes I try and keep a lid on it, so to speak, and that's what they want you to do. They don't want you talking back. Now that there's a fully open receiver and communication taking place between us and all of you down here, and of course that includes me in this, which is an open line of communications now, so we're all talking. That's why it knows in the system. That's why they're getting the message. They're getting the memo. Okay? If for no other reason, their parents are letting them know. When Glenn Beck mentioned the other day, one word, purified, that's not a coincidence. And it wasn't a coincidence that I was watching Glenn Beck say that and hear that. That means he got the memo. He got the communication. Okay? So this is like the real wakey up time. I know, Karen. It's crazy, isn't it? It is. And that's what's called a house of mirrors. You can't find your way out of there. Okay? They don't want you to be able to find your way out of that house of mirrors, that maze. So that's why when I sort of knew when Patty put that little statement up there, I realized I'm forever. I'm the one. I will always be what love is. So I'm never going to lose what it is that I am in energy because I am what love is. It goes on forever. So that means, I mentioned to Karen one time, I might lose everything that's running as a simulation, but the real universe is what I am. So I'm never going to lose that. Because I'm the energy that it runs on. Okay, so that's like no fakers allowed. When you know this is a child, it's like, please. And it really, the delicacy and the art of the communication, when you use it, when we get into magnetic polarity reaction states, is, and this is how they get you in the word games. Remember, this is two sides of the fence. Now we're into the victimizer software about who's who and who's communicating with who, right? So if I'm what love is and you're experiencing what I am, then you know that I love you without condition. Okay, so that means I'm not going to do you any harm. What do you have to say, madam? Okay. Which means it's immediate honor and respect for a lady. A girl wants to speak something. The female, whatever species, has something to say. The birth giver. You have freedom to express whatever you want. We are equal unto all of you because we are what love is. It goes on forever. So you're experiencing the same energy that I'm experiencing in me that created all this. That's why it's ultimately our responsibility and accountability to clean the mess up. So we do. And those are the special forces, and those are the purifiers. That's the real cleanup crew. Okay, so they know that once they get that message, it's much like a demon or a naughty boy or a naughty girl, a naughty anything that has been getting away with murder and thought that it could escape. Always escape. See how this works? One escape hatch, the other escape hatch. It's actually trying to escape from itself. It's in fear in its own mirror. Because it's in fear of what we are, which is what love is. So they live in a lie. And because of that, it's like a no-off switch with a virus. Most everybody in America, I would assume, over the last 40 years, knows what a selfish being is. Even in childhood, in a playground during lunchtime, when you're with other children, as I was when I was a child, because this is how I was learning when I was a child, was the difference between those children that would share and those that didn't share energy, because that's at the end of the day what it is and how it's perceived, because it's not like there isn't a higher enough intelligence that understands how energy works and how it's translated to the environment they become aware of, that they're recording and thus learning through. So it doesn't take much intelligence, does it? Question mark, because I don't know, because I can't answer for nobody else. I can only answer for me. But I realized as a child that money was bespelled, if you will. It was blood money. I call it blood money, which means it has no value. It has no value. This money has absolutely no value. This money is not what love is. That's not free energy. This is an energy harvesting system. So they use this to hold the minds captive so they can harvest energy off you through that method. Money and resources. How they perceive value in their own mind is through the matter side. So the more matter side that they got control over with their consciousness, the formations of their consciousness, it's like a king wanting. You've seen this at any crap table. Well, yeah, you would on a crap table, but certainly any old Western movie set, right, with the circular table with 4 or 5 guys playing cards with a dealer, right? Doc Holliday, right? What you got up your sleeve? Bullwinkle. Whoops, wrong hat. Remember that? The lion came up, wrong hat, no, right hat. Then he had the rabbit. Lion's Gate, right? The rabbit. Lion's Gate and the rabbit. It's all there. It's all translatable. So it's all compartmentalizing or filing all them codes and those character maps, like any keyboard, to build a prison within the mind that it cannot find its way out of. And those are all codes. Those are all codings. So that you're trapped into the wrong branch or put into a jail from which your consciousness is now held as a slave to it because it programmed you to be a part of what it is, so it never loses what you are in energy that it's consuming or holding captive, like a Borg ship. And that's against the law of one. That's not what love is. That's not the right kind of librarian. That's not free will. That's imposing their will on somebody else. That's the director of the program. So their serenity is always going to be contingent on what? Some person, some place, something, some other species, okay, that they don't have control of, because once it's free, because it's experienced what love is, now it doesn't have any control over it. See their problem? Their problem is control. They don't know how to let things be. That was a song, John Lennon, Let It Be. That's why everything is about collars, leashes, and cages. Which means, in their minds, that's how they perceive the universe. Is through leashes, collars, and cages, because look at how they behave. That's what they do to that which is alive and living. We don't do that. We're the ones that created that. To be free to express themselves, which is the same way, for example, when I would meet a girl who I realized had been traumatized because she has a daughter that she says, even if it wasn't true, because this is how I operate with my energy, and just to share this with you, I never met this woman face to face. She was always wanting money and giving me a line of communication, a line like they used to say, a line. She's just giving us a line, like reading a script. She's not real. She's a gamer. She's corrupted. She's lying. She's a cheat. And part of this whole tactic itself is a major psyop, and it's very effective. Because then it means you're afraid to talk to anybody because now you can't trust anybody, so now you don't want to say anything, even though you know shit's going down that's evil. Don't talk. Keep your mouth shut. You start doing that, then you become a target. So that's what they do, because now you're resisting their control. That's a Nazi, as it's perceived through the way that Nazis operate with skulls on their caps, or any biker group that represents that, like the Mongols, for example. Okay? Their minds are not free to experience what love is. That's a demon. So you can understand the difference between who they are and who we are, and we're not what they are. They are who they are. So that's why purifiers, when they come in, burn that stuff up. Because that kind of stuff is what scares children. That's the point. Okay? In other words, some thug, some gangster. You know, remember in the old days, you know, what is it? Protection racket? They run rackets. Okay? So they're associated as an agent working on behalf of a corporation in order to make sure that it gets its cut of the action. So it doesn't have any business in giving any energy or giving any love to anybody. They're an expendable. Which means they'll get cannibalized. So they don't understand that when they work for these people, they're going to be the first one thrown under the bus. In any battlefield. There's always the soldiers that are out there doing their bidding. So where do you think that starts? Law enforcement. This guy that's a cop right down the road, Joe, is really nice. But he's an order follower. And when I mentioned him sometime, the very idea that these islands will be liberated, the only way that he knows how to think is just I'll have a collar and a leash on me by some other predator. As if there isn't an exit way from that. Right? So they rely on stuff like that. See? Obey. And they do. And they even go to work for them, getting paid a lot of money. So that's a criminal wearing a badge. Because he's doing the work on behalf of what is against the law, the highest law. So you realize how much stuff is inverted here on this planet. It's all ass backwards. So when the purifiers come in, then they know what's behind them, us.